Hello and welcome to the Natural State Update. We want to start this episode by thanking you all for joining us for an entire year. Be sure to follow us on Facebook. We also have a website and YouTube page, all under the name Natural State Update. We so appreciate your support and remind you to send us story ideas, and if you're a business owner, your business can be featured here as well. On to our stories. If you're familiar with the University of Arkansas campus in Fayetteville, then you might know about the Catholic Church located just behind Sorority Row. It has served the community for more than 60 years now. As Jansen tells us, plans are in the works to replace it. The man in charge of finding the money to pay for it has a household name, but a new mission.
To be a fan of the Arkansas Razorback men's baseball program is to be in awe of former head coach Norm DeBriyn. Step into the Norm DeBriyn Champions Lobby and be greeted by just a few of the reminders of his team's unprecedented successes. As head coach, he racked up 1,161 victories. He took 4 trips to the NCAA College World Series and followed the road to the NCAA tournament 15 times. He's a multi-Hall of Fame coach who was selected as a Southeastern Conference baseball legend as well. We'll let him give us a briefing of the playing field changes he's witnessed during his more than 3 decades as the coach.
Okay, this is the baseball field, the old fairgrounds on the University of Arkansas campus. The first field we played on, and then it gradually improved to where our former Major League players, Johnny Ray, Tim Lawler, who was our first All-American, Kevin McReynolds, Tom Solakovich, their agent, put lights on the field. And so this is a picture of 1985 when we first had George Cole Field lit. And then in 1996, we moved to the location we're at now, Baum Walker Stadium. It was called Baum Stadium then, which you can see the concourse has been cut off. It's all been extended since then to where it is today. You know, has continued to grow and build, and we added, I think it was in 2005, we added 15 more skybox suites. So there's now 34 of them. And so that's the present where we are today.
Coach became an accidental fundraiser for baseball when the American Legion asked him to contact a fellow parishioner at his church. The man was Charlie Baum.
I didn't know him. I knew of the name, so I called him on the phone. He hardly said a word. And when I got off the phone, I thought I should have made an appointment with him, you know. All of a sudden, 2 weeks later, the commander called me from the American Legion. He said, "Norm, we wanted to thank you." I said, "For what?" He said, "Well, Charlie Baum came in and said, I hear you boys need some help on your Legion field." He said, he wrote us a check for $10,000. I said, "Oh, you're kidding me."
Baum later invited DeBriyn to join his coffee clutch.
I joined them, and he says, "What are you going to do now that you're in the SEC about that field?" And I said, "Well, Charlie, that's why I'm here to talk to you."
Yeah.
And he gave, at that morning, he gave $250,000.
Baum Field opened after 2 more donations from Baum, and one from the Willard and Pat Walker Charitable Foundation. The Walker's name was added after subsequent generous donations to the stadium's expansion. Today, Baum Walker Stadium is a jewel in the crown of college baseball.
A reading from the Holy Gospel according to Matthew.
If it is possible for Norm DeBriyn to be even more passionate about raising money for a cause he believes in, he's found it. He retired from coaching 11 years ago. When asked to share his proudest accomplishment, his answer is unexpected.
I always feel so thankful that in my 33 years of coaching baseball at Arkansas, I don't think I ever had to miss Mass once on a Sunday, whether it be a vigil Mass the night before or early in the morning we're at South Carolina or whatever.
DeBriyn says he began attending daily Mass when, as a boy in Wisconsin, he switched from a public to a Catholic high school. The 81-year-old, who was born on November 1st, All Saints' Day, developed a deep respect for the Franciscan priests there.
You know, I always felt like how they gave their life, how they gave for others.
That life of service took root and led him to become a Catholic deacon. The commitment required the consent of his wife, Caroline, and more than 4 years of rigorous study and testing. Answering his call from God would have to wait until he retired from coaching. In 2012, he became a member of the clergy through the Sacrament of Holy Orders with 39 other men from across the state. Deacon DeBriyn is assigned to St. Thomas Aquinas Parish to serve alongside a former U of A student who went to Mass here back then. Now, Father Jason Sharbaugh says he's back in black as the pastor and thankful for the deacon's unselfish kindness to the church and her people.
So the things that Deacon Norm has brought to things in education with his family, with Caroline, with what he's done as an excellent coach, all those things inform him and give him an opportunity to interact with people and preach upon those things and to be an excellent servant for the community, as well as just being a great relational person for his pastor and those who love him.
Perhaps the deacon's most challenging role is his current one. He is serving as chair of the Light on the Hill Capital campaign to build a much-needed new church and student center. Since 1958, the existing buildings have served as a home for the Catholic campus community and, for the most part, have served it well. But the exponential growth and changing demands of today's student body require action. The need for more space is evident on a recent Sunday as the faithful filled every pew, additional chairs, and even standing room.
No, that's a typical Sunday, as well as on feast days and when people come in, because we're kind of the church for the state or visiting people from out of state, teams that are coming in that want to come to Mass on a Sunday. In those days, you know, your cup runneth over, so to speak, through the areas that we have capacity for the church.
You know, so there's been one thing after another. I mean, the ceiling leaks, and a chiller we had to put in was like $15,000, and you know, it was one Band-Aid after another.
Right.
So then we decided, you know, this thing has to be demolished and rebuilt.
The plan is to more than double the size of St. Thomas, with buildings that include wider doorways, an elevator, and ramps instead of stairs, meeting the needs of all parishioners and ADA requirements. The facility will be energy efficient in layout and construction, meaning lower utility costs and significant savings in the long run. There will be more office space for the growing ministry, also new courtyards, meeting rooms, and space for students to gather.
And this is a place that not only is a church, so a sanctuary for people to come and be and pray and have solace in that manner, but also our student center is an area anybody can come and hang out and be a part of things, whatever they want to do.
Father Jason and Deacon DeBriyn point to 2 university graduates who left their marks here as star athletes as being invaluable to the campaign. Joe Klein and Kevin Scanlon serve on the campaign committee, and in the former coach's eyes, are stars for their impact.
I'm glad you said that, because Kevin Scanlon and Joe Klein have been wonderful, and I don't know how it would get out there, but I think people need to know that they have helped us a bunch financially and with their advising and with their receptiveness, like Joe at his restaurant, and it's been wonderful. And they talk about what St. Thomas has meant to them. I mean, Kevin Scanlon says it changed his life, St. Thomas, when he was on campus here, which, you know, just is huge, the impact. So I'm glad you mentioned that. As far as the people that have gone through here, will their names be mentioned possibly?
Oh yeah. You just did.
I mean, because that means a lot. And, you know, I want them to know that how much we appreciate them.
The deacon is also grateful once again for the generous support of the Walker Charitable Foundation. Under the direction of Mandy Mackey, who serves on the campaign committee, and former Razorback baseball letterman Johnny Mike Walker, the foundation is continuing the family history of funding efforts that improve the college experience for all of the U of A students.
I obviously want people to come up all the more into God's love for them, but it's all part of the community based upon the relationship we have with the university, with Fayetteville, and with Northwest Arkansas. So.
And no donation is too small.
No donation is too small. I feel like I'm in Ghostbusters. They said that. I don't know if you remember Bill Murray saying that.
We need your help. We need the help to build this because it's going to enable future generations to enjoy a nice place to go to, a bright place to go to with a coffee shop, and to be able to hang out and enjoy, each other, that kind of thing. And so it's, I just see it as so important.
Simply open the camera on your phone to donate through the QR code or go to CatholicHogsCampaign.com. For the Natural State Update, I'm Ann Jansen.
Wow, thank you, Ann. What an inspirational story of a faithful servant. And a shout out to Ann's family for helping put that piece together. I love that it's really become a family affair. Well, if you're looking for entertainment options for the rest of the spring, listen up. Amanda Horton has a rundown of your options here in Central Arkansas.
I'm Amanda Horton, Executive Director of Public Appearances here at the University of Central Arkansas. Spring is in the air, and so is show business. Let's take a look at some of the upcoming performances. At Reynolds Performance Hall, we're winding down our season, but there's still some good options. On April 21st, we'll have Wizard of Oz. This one-hour adaptation brings the classic story to life and is a perfect way to introduce children to the theater. Next, on April 29th, we have Tapestry, the Carole King Songbook. This show is a celebration of all things Carole King, and the audience will be singing along with all of her hits. The Conway Symphony Orchestra will also perform in Reynolds in April and will feature guest artist, opera sensation Kristen Lewis, as she presents her favorite repertoire. Finally, I want to give you a really important date. On May 9th, we will announce our upcoming season for the 23-24 academic year. Mark your calendars, you're not going to want to miss this announcement. But back to our current options. Some exciting music opportunities include a long list of concerts at the Hall, including Moonchild, Jason Isbell and the 400 Unit, and Sleeping with Sirens. Simmons Bank Arena has many upcoming events, including Kenny Chesney on April 22nd, Tedeschi Truck Bands on April 28th, and Brooks & Dunn on May 20th. They also have a wonderful option for families with Disney on Ice presents Frozen and Encanto. Robinson will also offer some great shows, including Legally Blonde the Musical, An Evening with David Sedaris, Ben Rector, the Old Friends Acoustic Tour, and the classic musical My Fair Lady. If theater is what you're looking for, then you're not going to believe the lineup of shows this spring, including Little Shop of Horrors at the Rep that runs through April the 30th. The Studio Theater will have The Color Purple, based on the Pulitzer Prize-winning novel by Alice Walker. In North Little Rock, Argenta Community Theater will present Rodgers and Hammerstein's Cinderella. This enchanting musical is a contemporary take on the classical tale. Red Curtain Theater in Conway will present the Disney hit The Little Mermaid Jr. With some amazingly talented young artists. And in Benton, the Royal Theater will present the classic musical Hello, Dolly. Finally, I want to recognize the much anticipated grand opening of the Arkansas Museum of Fine Arts on April 22nd. Tickets to this grand opening are sold out, but you can start booking a timed entry ticket to the new center starting on May 2nd. They'll have a permanent art collection as well as temporary exhibits. They will also offer performing arts such as the Very Hungry Caterpillar show that the children will adore as Eric Carley's book comes to life. Also, Ballet Arkansas will be a partner company in residence performing a piece called New Works. This one-of-a-kind intimate program features 5 world premieres created by Ballet Arkansas, inspired by the works of the Arkansas Museum of Fine Arts Foundation collection. For the Natural State Update, I'm Amanda Horton.
Thank you, Amanda. Scott Inman is our financial expert here at the Natural State Update. So now let's go to him for the fastest 4 minutes in finance.
We can all expect to pay more for gas in the coming months. Hello, and thanks for checking out this week's fastest 4 minutes in finance. I'm Scott Inman. Well, anytime we mention OPEC, the news is likely not very good. OPEC stands for the Organization of the Petroleum Exporting Countries, and it's pretty much led by Saudi Arabia. That organization announced earlier this week that it will be massively cutting oil production, which is expected to send gas prices soaring again, just as we seem to be getting inflation under control. The price of crude oil shot up more than $4 per barrel in the 2 days following that announcement, Tom Clausa, the global head of energy analysis at a research firm, told Fox Business that every dollar the price of crude rises means a production cost of about 2.4 cents more per gallon. That creates almost a certainty that gas prices will be rising. And they had been trending down. Take a look at this inflation dashboard chart from LPL Research. On the 7th line, you'll see the average AAA retail regular gasoline price per gallon for every month going back to June of last year. Gas prices are extremely volatile, but you can see prices have dropped from $4.92 per gallon to $3.45 per gallon over the past 10 months. Right now, that right below that line is the Consumer Price Index. During that same time frame, we've gone from 8.93% year-over-year inflation to 5.99%. The dashboard is also color-coded, and you can see that in 7 of the 10 categories measured, we are going in the right direction when it comes to inflation. Gas prices, though, was one of those 10, and it won't likely be any more. So the question is, how big of an impact will higher gas prices be on inflation, on increasing the risk of recession, and on the Fed's next decision on interest rates? Well, higher oil prices will affect the inflation numbers, no doubt. But as LPL Research points out, the modern domestic economy is less reliant on crude oil, and the pass-through effects from higher energy prices are not as pronounced today as in previous decades. And you could even argue that OPEC's decision to cut oil production was in advance of an expectation of slower demand brought on by a recession. Manufacturing activity last month fell to its lowest level since May 2020. Employment shrunk for the second straight month as firms continue to cut workers in response to weaker demand. Economic data is suggesting that a U.S. recession is near. LPL Research believes we should prepare for a weaker job market, higher unemployment, and cooling wage growth in the coming months. Now, if all that happens, the Federal Reserve should be convinced to take its foot off the gas on raising interest rates. Bottom line for your personal economy here is be prepared for higher gas prices, especially if you're planning a summer vacation. Make sure you've beefed up your emergency fund to be prepared for a potential job loss. The recession may be coming, but it should be short-lived. So we should expect more market volatility in the near term. Stay invested for the long term, though, and stick to your plan. Thanks for watching.
Thank you, Scott. And since yesterday was Easter, it's only fitting that we end with John 3:16. For God so loved the world that he gave his one and only Son, that whoever believes in him shall not perish, but have eternal life. For the Natural State Update, I'm Christina Munoz.